Hi everyone, welcome to the world of sociology. In the last session we were discussing about Emil Durkheim and Durkheim's theory of suicide. We already started dealing with a substantial part of the theory, and we specifically dealt with one serious form of suicide as enumerated by Emil Durkheim, and that is nothing other than the anemic form of suicide. Many of my students commented that they need to know about other major forms of suicide also, as explained by Emil Durkheim, and today I would be dealing with the second and perhaps the equally important type of suicide as listed by Emil Durkheim. As you know very well, many of you are aware of the term, and that is nothing other than altruistic form of suicide. What do you mean by the term altruism? There has been a lot of questions, a lot of debates, a lot of controversies regarding this term and the explanation of this term. I would try to explain this term from a sociological point of view, and I may definitely connect this term with the very notion, with the very reality of suicide. What is altruism? Whenever an individual is integrating or associating himself with the society, and that integration or association may reach a point where the individual may be forgetting about himself, or the individual may be identifying himself with the society in such a manner that ultimately he himself is subdued by the social identity. In such a context, that individual can be designated, or that individual is going through or is experiencing what is known as altruism. I will give you 2-3 examples for a better understanding of altruism. Say for example, when an individual dedicates himself to the service of the nation, maybe in the form of a soldier, maybe in the form of a social worker. Initially, he is very well aware of his own identity, and he is very well careful and very cautious about his own individual entity. But after a period of time, he may over-identify himself with the society, himself with national service, himself with his activity, that he may start subduing himself with that collective or with that larger identity. This is what is referred to as altruism. Altruism can be rightly defined as the over-integration of the individual with the social identity. When this integration may become over-integration, the individual may even become ready to sacrifice his life for the social cause or for society at large. Durkheim very beautifully, very intelligently conceived this as altruistic suicide and presented it in such a manner. What is altruistic suicide? When an individual forgets about himself, identifies or proposes a particular cause, make that cause his life cause, and ultimately sacrifices his life for that very same cause, that can be rightly designated as altruistic suicide. In the words of Emil Durkheim, it is nothing other than the very product of the over-integration of the individual with the society. I repeat, it is the very product of the over-integration of the individual with the society. There actually the individual does not even think, the individual does not even care about his own personal existence, the need for life, the need for subsistence, etc. We have seen a number of examples for altruistic suicide. Even our soldiers who live, who fight and who die for our country without even caring about their life, without even thinking about their family, their wife, their children, their parents, their siblings. That is a very good example of altruistic suicide. They actually never commit suicide, but even then they are ready to die at any point of time for the sake of the nation just because they are altruistic. You must have heard about the practice known as harakiri that was performed in many Southeast Asian countries, especially like Japan. And harakiri is also a very good example where a person himself dies for a cause, who himself is a warrior and who is ready to die for a cause. That is another very good example of altruism or altruistic suicide. We can also find a number of examples within our country itself. Say for example, whenever in Tamil Nadu, a person with a star status passes away, a number of people may commit suicide. We have seen a lot of similar instances. Even there you can find that this suicide is a product of the over-integration of that particular person with the star, with the celebrity, or with this person with a celebrity status. Even that is a very good example of what is known as altruism, and the way they die and the very performance, the act of suicide is nothing other than altruistic suicide. You can find many similar examples of the same instance which shall be discussed in a subsequent session. Of course, one more type of suicide, perhaps two more types of suicide has been referred to by Emil Durkheim, which we shall be dealing in the next session. Please remember the core point of today's session: what is altruism and how an individual, due to his over-integration with the society, becomes altruistic, and ultimately what is altruistic suicide. Thank you, students.